But some of those things are also going to require that the carbon credits that trade at substantially higher prices. We're going to need to switch to a situation where, for example, we're looking at just baselines. We're going to need to switch to a situation where the magnitude of buffer pools has substantially increased to cover any reversal risk. And I think that what that means is that the focus should be on carefully designed, high integrity products that can with confidence deliver the value that the international community is demanding.
Thank you very much, Professor Phil. And that highlights some of the challenges and, of course, the remedies that you have said. And perhaps if we have Suresh to follow on with that and let us know if you have seen any other gaps or challenges as well.
Yeah. So thank you, Lincoln, and thank you, Professor. Particularly when a professor has, is spoken, there is very little less to speak about that. But having said that, how do I see that there has been a lot of developments around voluntary carbon market and now slowly moving into the compliance carbon market. And both the Article 6.2 and 6.4 have seen progress gradually moving in a wonder trajectory. But having said that, I see the movement from a market which is based on currently lacking what Professor also described, the trust of the market force, the trust of the investors, to a market in the direction which will be more trust-based, which generates confidence in the minds of the investors, in the minds of the countries, in the minds of the people. So that's where I see the direction. The COP29 Baku made a very substantial progress, and I think the Japanese government is also making a huge efforts in that direction. And going forward in COP30, I do see some, based on what comes out, movement forward in operationalizations of some of the things which were done at COP29. In the context of Africa, I also see in a very, very positive manner, and thank you for making this Africa Green Goal. And thank you for June for making this very powerful presentation that which is the temperature, global rise, sea level rise, and climate change is making the impact. And if you look at the continents where it is hitting hard in terms of GDP losses, we know about the hurricanes where everybody talks about 200% of the GDP or X number of percent of the GDP, but we don't know this untold story. It's not about only losing your GDP, but it's also about how much is contributing to your GDP and how much it's compromising your ability to raise the finances. And then it link up with what Hirinder presented here, that there's a tremendous opportunity, $7 trillion by 2035 as of now. But as you know, the AI disrupts everything. So I see this $7 trillion going much more beyond that. So that's where I see in the overall context, the carbon market, the digitalization, the integrity and the confidence in the system leading to some of the way where the ordinary markets have failed to get to the SDG finance gapping, which is rising and will keep rising unless the private capital and the new instruments are able to fill that vacuum and the gap. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Suresh, for that very insightful sharing. I think enough is said about what's in Africa itself. The goal is there. The opportunities are there. We have some of the moving parts that we probably need to realign. There is the technology which SETDEX itself has shown everybody. But I think the critical things about this whole thing is always about putting the pieces together. And I think on this itself, as you know, with the COP29, there was the disappointment, as you have read about in the papers, and reminded by June again about the shortfall in the funding gap in terms of funding the whole climate change challenges. And I think it was good that we saw upon the conclusion of the Azerbaijan COP29 itself that there's the emergence of the whole civil society's activity and interest to push things a little bit further. And of course, with the creation of a global south, network itself by Nadima and team, I'm just curious about, what would the civil societies be able to do in the face of all these opportunities, really? But also at the same time, while this was being done, just a couple of months back, things have changed dramatically from a geopolitical perspective. We see aid drying up. Some of the funding itself becomes very, very difficult. We're not just trying to drag certain countries into this debate itself, but certainly that has staffed the efforts of the Global South. And I'm just wondering, Nadima, what do you see happening in this space itself? And of course, with what you're doing at the Global South Network, and how could we take all those pieces that we hear from Professor Phil and also Suresh to put things together and having the civil societies play a bigger part in this? Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me here. Yeah, I would like first of all give a brief information, as you mentioned, about Global South and JOUR platform. We created is, maybe politically and so on, sometimes the governments stay together, but as a voices from Global South, we do not have a network to be together, and when we are separately, we cannot deliver our voices. So that's why in APE, it's also legacy of the COP29, that civil society organizations from Global South, they signed the action to call from for more than 100 countries, and we have created this Global South and JOUR platform, where you are also a member of this platform. And here we mainly aim to have the voices of the Global South to be heard internationally, to deliver their voices there. So regarding the aid, now it is going like low. I will give you an example from my country, from Azerbaijan. First of all, we were for several years under, let's say, under Soviet Union, and we didn't have our own, let's say, aid, and we were not able, always just we were getting the funding. We were used to have the funding from somewhere and to separate it, to use it. That's why after getting the independence, like 30 years ago, it's now a developing country. It's a new country, let's say, but now we are trying to grow our own manufacturing spheres. First of all, for Azerbaijan, yes, it was a very difficult period. I can say we can see most of you, maybe you were in Baku in Azerbaijan, COP29, and now it is developing. But really, it has having a war, having a situation that was blocked by several from several borders. We had such a different stations, but nowadays, as we had a peace agreement, also one of the ways to get doing their own money, we are doing through our logistics. We opened the borders, and one of the ways. First of all, I can say the manufacturing spheres. Now we are developing our manufacturing sphere in Azerbaijan. Unfortunately, we were mainly relied on the export, and that's why, but now we are developing our manufacturing spheres and also through logistics, as now we will be the countries that is connecting Asia and Europe through, we call it Silk Road, as it was now the opening the Ngazur, and through it we will be able to do it. Just to give a brief example, that several years ago we have stopped some finance. For example, in Azerbaijan, I'm speaking as a civil society organization here, and in Azerbaijan we also.
Thank you very much, Nadima. And the energy of the youth will definitely be able to tap on, and something that we could drive. And I'm just thinking things related to digital assets. Obviously, I'm not advocating that we do a meme coin related to the COP30 precedent. But again, if we are to leverage on the DeFi side of things, Hiranda, perhaps you could share with us, how do you see the whole digitization coming in to wrap up some of the green assets or the real world assets that we see that is of such huge abundance over in Africa, and how upon harnessing that, is it able to then transform and direct that to the whole climate change efforts in Africa? And of course, perhaps maybe there could be more youth investors as well. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, on the youth point, you know, I'll let Suresh have the final word as well, because he's doing a lot of work on the AI side in youth. But obviously, just to keep it brief in the interest of time, I mean, everyone speaks about blockchain as one ubiquitous technology, but actually, unintended consequences, it was supposed to knit things together, but there are many blockchains, you know, public, private, even hybrid constructs now. So I think really, what we've seen up until recently is every organization or every entity, whether it's set up as a trust or otherwise, was trying to build its own moat, and the ships of liquidity and collaboration couldn't really sail to it. I think this is all about, as I said in my presentation, collaboration. So one blockchain should be able to seamlessly interconnect with another blockchain, but actually traditional systems and traditional capital or SWIFT as a system isn't going away anytime soon, or even if alternative systems are emerging, whether they're digital or not, whether it's China and you know, the geopolitical world that you mentioned that we live in, Lincoln. So I think this is all about interconnectivity, and it's all about then allowing capital to flow where it really needs to go. Africa's key advantage is it's got no legacy really with those technologies. I mean, we hear the word leapfrogging a lot, but you know, we're on the ground in 20 plus countries now doing what we do, and actually there's an abundance of riches, and actually from an African standpoint, harnessing those, unlocking capital in the right way, and channeling that into both grassroots projects, but also broadly projects at scale, you know, with natural assets, we're seeing a huge opportunity. And it's not about it's not that it's going to happen, it's already starting to happen now. You know, this time next year, whether we're in Turkey or Adelaide in Australia, we'll be speaking about fundamental change in this space. But on the youth point, you know, I'll let Suresh ji have the last word.
Just to say that we have to remember what excites the youth the maximum. And the technology is the one which fascinates the youth, right? So if you are able to blend the technologies with the carbon market or carbon solution or anything and blend it up in the university system, I think you are making the entire ecosystem fly high. Africa is projected to get around 100 billion revenue by 2030 from the carbon market, and there are projections it will create 5 million jobs. The job is one part. Can we make those 5 million jobs which are going to create to become an entrepreneur and multiply 5 times more? Can we get 25 million jobs based on the entrepreneurship? So that should be the scale which we should be looking forward in terms of entrepreneurship, and technologies allow, the blends allow it to happen. What was impossible 10 years down the line is possible because of the scale technology brings to you. Earlier replication was difficult. Now replication is super easy. So I do see that the platforms, if we are able to do the platformification of the carbon market, using the technologies, uses all the resources and the investor, I think it will link up many entrepreneurship opportunities, green entrepreneurship, green job for the young people in the Africa. And it will not only solve the problem of job seekers, but it will also make Africa a more resilient, both in terms of democracy, both in terms of environment and also in economic terms. So it's the resilience of Africa which can be built up on the foundation of young people, on the participation of a thriving carbon market backed by the digital and AI ecosystems. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Suresh. I see that we are looking at a very bright future for Africa, and it's definitely very exciting. While we are here, as we pause for the next segment of the event, and before I actually ask for the one final word from the rest of my distinguished panel members here, I just want to maybe open this to the floor to see if any burning questions or queries are something that you would like to put forward to our distinguished panel members here. Thank you. Any questions? No? Well, I guess, oh yes, please. Come, let me get the mic across to you. Kindly just introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Raquel Solicopapako from Equatorial Guinea, and we are going to give me because I apologize because we are Spanish speakers, so maybe my English is going to be like not wet, but okay. My country is part for Congo Basin, so I'm very interested in carbon market. I would like to know how can I involve myself in this issue, like a youth, like a person that is very interested in carbon market, but he's not yet what to do. So I want to more guidance on that issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You speak very good English, and perhaps I will perhaps put this across to any of our panel members who would like to say something. Yes, Professor Phil, please.
I very much applaud your interest in being involved in this space. Congratulations. I believe there are truly rich opportunities, and I think the real short-term bright spot is going to be in the space of finding enterprises that are already established and building on those. And the two areas that look the brightest to me are in coastal restoration, especially in West Africa, and in
We are in Central Africa. We are near Cameroon and Gabon. We are the only Spanish speaker country in Africa. So we are near Cameroon and Gabon, Equatorial Guinea. Yes.
yeah, and there I think the big opportunities
Yes,
are in
of
forest
course.
protection.
That's why I'm very interested in. Sorry, because okay. That's why I'm very interested in climate finance and especially in carbon market because we have a lot of forest. But in the negotiation of how to achieve a market carbon and all those topics, I discovered that we don't have good negotiation in that. So I would like to focus my my attention in that, in carbon market, but I don't know what to do, how to start, and I need more guidance in that.
Well, I'll just say there are a number of outstanding actors working hard to develop high integrity markets in your region, and talking to those is going to be very valuable for you.
I'll connect her with my team. Sir. I'll connect her with the team.
Yeah, and we'll, in the interest of time now, we'll talk to you after. So, I mean, would you like to?
Okay. So let me just have one final word from each of the speakers.
And we've got to wrap up now.
Okay. So I guess this just leads me to warmly give thanks to all our esteemed panel members. Shall we all put our hands together for Professor Phil, Radhima, Miranda, as well as Suresh. Thank you very much, and most of all for your presence here at our session today as well. Thank you. Thank you.